Ooh, welcome everyone to the Daily Juice Podcast on the Betting Pros Network. I'm your host, Sean, stacking the money green. Give me a follow on Twitter at Sean T. Green. And as always, Daily Juice is being brought to you by BetMGM. Use the promo code JUICE, and a $10 bet turns into $200 if either team scores a touchdown. That's good for college and for pros. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have a backwards hat on, got my Grateful Dead shirt, anything to switch up this mojo. My God. What an incredibly frustrating college football Saturday. 0-4, down 4 units. Oh, my God. All right. I guess we'll start from least painful to most painful. First off, UNC. I mean, they just got destroyed at home. I was really surprised. I mean, and the game ended up being a track meet like I predicted. And again, not trying to take a ton of credit because obviously I was way off on the side, but I thought a track meet was going to benefit UNC. Like, that's the type of team they are. They just, offense was okay, but just not, not what they needed to get it done. And Notre Dame goes in, gets a road win. So hats off to Notre Dame. What's the next loser? Oh, Washington State, Rutgers parlay. My head was in the right spot. Rutgers, though, wasn't really close in that game. I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns against Iowa. That's all that Iowa needs. I mean, you give them points on the defensive side of the ball, they're good to go. I'm kind of glad that Rutgers ended up losing because after that Washington State was up 11 at home late in the fourth. And to lose that game outright, they probably should have. And then they also threw that late pick 6 to blow if you're playing them with the points, and then got the back door with like 2 seconds left to go. So salvage that for some of the people I'm sure that were on the points there. Duke, oh my God. Getting 7.5. Of course, they lose by exactly 8 points. So maybe if you're betting earlier in the week, there was some 8.5s out there. But man, Kansas looked really good. Shout out to Kansas. I was skeptical. It seemed like a good time to go contrarian there against the public who was just all over Kansas. But man, that Kansas offense is for real. I mean, it's pretty good. And I was high on them coming into the season. I was on their over win total because it was crazy low at 2.5. I just didn't think they were this good. And Duke actually didn't look horrible. I mean, the tackling was pretty bad, but other than that, like I think Duke has some stuff they can build on, and man, ACC Coastal especially is wide open. So we'll see what happens with Dukies down the line, and then Arkansas. You. Oh man, what can I say that is not a horrific vulgarity? But Arkansas loses 21-23. My, I mean, what are you doing, Arkansas? Maybe you played it with the points and you got the 2.5, but they start out, they're up 14-0. Okay, this feels good. They're going to go in to get another touchdown. They fumble it. Did that move where the running back leaps over the pile with the ball. The ball gets knocked out. Texas A&M returns it, essentially like 96, 97 yards for a touchdown. And then, they end up going up in the third quarter, and then Arkansas, okay, they get a stop, driving, 42-yard field goal to win the game. Not a problem. Wait, doink. And not just a regular crossbar doink. The odds. I've been watching football my entire life. Basically, since I have had memories, I remember watching football. I cannot tell you a time where I've seen a field goal kicker kick the ball and it landed on top of the crossbar. Like on top of the crossbar. If the crossbars were a few feet higher, it might have hit and gone in. Who knows? But it landed on top of the crossbar. I still have never seen. I'm an Eagles fan. I saw the double doink game. This to me almost crazier in a way because it hits the top of the crossbar. Like the odds of that. It's just, imagine setting up a carnival game like that. Like how many kicks? You couldn't do that if you tried. Insane. All I know is regression is coming. That's the only good thing about going 0-4. Means brighter days are ahead. Let's go, baby. Speaking of brighter days, your days would be pretty awesome if you had a DeAndre Swift autographed jersey. Are you kidding me? All you got to do is go to youtube.com/bettingpros, subscribe to the channel, comment on this very video, and you're entered to win an awesome autographed DeAndre Swift jersey, courtesy of our good buddies over at Pristine Auction. All right. National Football League, I need you to bail me out. Again, rocking the backwards hat. What could go wrong? Let's go. First up, division dog. Count me in. Bills at Miami. I'm taking the Dolphins, catching 4.5, -105 over on DraftKings, 2 units. I'm kind of surprised Miami isn't getting a little bit more love, considering what they did to the Baltimore secondary when the Baltimore secondary was banged up. And again, I like this Bills team, super high on the Bills, but situationally, this is just a brutal spot for the Bills, right? Short week. Now you're going down in Miami, going to play in hot, humid weather. And you could have maybe talked me into Bills play because of how dominant they've looked overall. But, man, when you read the injury report, this is brutal. They're going to be without both their safeties and essentially both their cornerbacks. Micah Hyde's out. Safety Jordan Poyer out. They're also missing defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. He's out. And Ed Oliver, he's out. The other cornerback, Dane Jackson, he's out. They're just in trouble on the defensive side. They're going to be like 5 starters. It's crazy. Again, super high on the Bills as a team, but I think the Dolphins, I've talked a ton of trash over the years on Tua, but he showed me something in that Baltimore game. Again, 6 touchdowns, not an accident. Who's going to cover Tyreek Hill? Who's going to cover Jalen Waddle? Maybe the Bills can keep up in a shootout, but Miami Dolphins is a home dog, +4.5 against this defense that is just tremendously banged up. I think you got to take the Dolphins here. So give me the Fins, +4.5, -105 over on DraftKings. Next up, Packers at Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks, -1 over on BetMGM for 2 units as well. Aaron Rodgers has really struggled in Florida games. It's weird. They had that weird Florida game last year against the Saints. Last time he came down to Tampa Bay. Didn't work out great. And, the Packers, their offense is going to work when they're able to get the running backs going. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that against this Bucs defense. Like, the Bucs can really slow down the run, and they have good linebackers as well for coverage to mitigate the pass-catching running backs. Like, Green Bay doesn't have Devontae Adams. We know that. But even the other, ancillary receivers, Sammy Watkins, who was their leading receiver yardage-wise, coming into the game, he's out. Christian Watson, he's banged up. I just don't think they have a lot of healthy pass catchers going for them. I think the Packers are just going to struggle to move the ball. And getting back to the running game, the Bucs are holding opponents to 85.5 yards on the ground per game. I think the Bucs' value on this team is pretty low because we've seen them kind of struggle a little bit, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. One, I don't think they struggled that much in Dallas. They took control of that game the entire time. I thought Tom Brady looked pretty efficient. They always struggle in New Orleans, and you could make a good case they won and covered. So that was actually a nice win. I don't know why people are so low on this Bucs team right now. I get it's the injuries. I get it's not having Mike Evans. But again, we've seen Brady get it done with crappy receivers in the past. I don't think they're going to need a ton of points. I mean, the total's sitting at 41.5, 42. This should be a low-scoring, ugly game, and I think that really benefits the home team. So give me the Bucs laying 1 at home. Next up, Saints at Panthers. I'm taking the Panthers as a 2-unit dog, +125 on the money line. Get that over on WinBet. I know it's scary to bet on this Panthers team because of Baker Mayfield, but Jameis Winston with the broken back, he is not right. Now, maybe there's maybe they put in Andy Dalton, but again, Andy Dalton on the road. I'll take the Carolina Panthers here. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, they finally are getting him more involved. He's putting up better yardage on the ground and in the air. Saints have historically struggled in Carolina, and the Panthers, while they're 0-2, they've played competitively. And I do like this nugget. Since 2010, winless teams are 45, 29, and 1 against the spread when not facing another winless team in week 3. That applies here, and that trend is hitting at a 61% rate. And it makes sense. It's one of these historic trends where you're 0-2, you're at home, you're desperate. and I think they get it done. I just don't think New Orleans deserves to be a road favorite against anyone really at this point. New Orleans is 2-13 actually against the spread in its last 15 games versus sub 500 teams. So that's where you see teams becoming road favorites. I just think in the post Drew Brees era, Saints haven't shown me anything to warrant them really being a 3-point division road favorite. So liking some division home dogs here early. Fourth and final pick. Shout out to the Niners crew in the bettingpros.com/discord, bettingpros.com/chat. I know D Nizzy, a couple of the other guys, Niners fans. I will be a Niners fan come Sunday night. Give me the 49ers laying 1.5 over on PointsBet against the Denver Broncos. Normally I'm looking to fade the public here, and this may be a slightly public play, but I really can't bet on Nathaniel Hackett. I'm really disappointed at what I've seen out of Russell Wilson so far. And you saw the juice that the team had when Jimmy G came back in. Does he have that massive upside that maybe Trey Lance, if everything worked out right and his athleticism and crazy deep ball? No, but Jimmy G just wins games. You're also getting George Kittle back. That should be big for the offense. You also look at the ref report. Sean Hockley is a very road-friendly ref. 11-5 straight up and 11-5 against the spread last year for the road team. 2-0 straight up and against the spread for the road team so far this season. So him being assigned to the 49ers-Broncos game, that's another good nugget. And the Broncos have just been an incredibly sloppy team. Nathaniel Hackett's clearly struggling. Like, he just hired some extra assistant guy to help him in these clock management situations. So the fact that he's already doing that to me is a red flag. Broncos have committed 25 penalties in their first two games, the most infractions in back-to-back contests in franchise history. So something is wrong with this Broncos team. The Broncos have struggled in prime time, basically post Peyton Manning. They're 1-9 straight up, 0-7 on their last 7 in Sunday Night Football. So a lot of good reason to fade the Broncos. Give me the 49ers laying 1.5 over on PointsBet. Give me the Panthers plus 125 on the money line over on WinBet. And give me the Bucks -1 over on BetMGM, and the Miami Dolphins plus 4.5 -105 over on DraftKings. Follow us on Betting Pros, and of course, head over to BetMGM. Use our promo code JUICE. Bet $10, get $200 if either team scores a touchdown in your game, college and pro. Follow me on Twitter at Sean T. Green. Check out my other podcast, the Sports Gambling Podcast. And guys, you know what to do. Subscribe, rate, and review. And as always, don't forget to let it ride.